Danite Radio.
Welcome to the Counter Revolution.
No, they're not.
I was like, wait a minute,
Devyn
Rocky.
thinks I'm a retard.
She's
So-
not wrong.
That's
Rocky, don't use that word. It's not a nice word.
sorry. Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot whose company I was in.
Whoa. Whose
What?
company you're in?
Yeah.
I just want to say, is there anything wrong with people who have mental disabilities?
No, but there is something wrong with people who act
Yes,
like they do.
they have a mental disability.
No, but I mean, if you're comparing somebody, like, let's say somebody cuts you off in traffic and you say, "Oh, you are tard," you're likening their purposeful actions and their ignorance and their stupidity to somebody who was born with something that A, they have no control over, and B, it's like you're saying, "Oh, you're bad because you have this mental disability." That's
Well,
why
then from that perspective, you're just saying they're innocent of the action that they've done, and you're forgiving them.
Devyn.
It's a sign of mercy using that word.
I don't think you guys use it as a sign. Not you guys
Devyn.
specifically. People who use the R word aren't
We
using it as a sign.
we are never. You're never going to change our minds on this. We're going to get
Okay.
into something that's going to piss you off here.
I
We're
just
we're
had
more than
to-
happy to go down this road with you, but you're not going to like it.
You want to go down it? I kind of want to with you.
Okay. We don't give retards driver's licenses.
But you can give them basic human decency
Sure.
and respect in the language
Sure,
that you
but
use
if I
about
call a guy a retard that's driving, maybe he shouldn't have a driver's license.
them. Yeah, but there's other words you can use.
Like what?
Spazoid, idiot.
It's not
Mongoloid.
as- it doesn't feel as how do you say? Satisfying.
Hurtful.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I
not
feel
as
like it's
satisfying.
only satisfying to you because you know how inflammatory it is. Like the F word is one of my favorite words, and the C word. I love the C
Sure,
word.
could be.
And I say it around Catherine sometimes because it makes her so mad.
Mm-hmm.
because it's inflammatory. I say it because it makes her so mad. And I think that's why the R word for people and the F word, the FAG word for some people is so fun to say because it's so inflammatory and it's like,
So you will say the C word, but you won't say the
Oh.
FAG word
Oh,
or
hell
the
yeah.
or the RTARD word,
Yeah.
which RTARD sounds just as bad. Just so you know,
yeah, well,
having listened from over here.
I agree. It does. The R word. I won't use the other F word and I won't use the R word.
Even though like every homosexual person I've ever met has had a pretty good sense of humor about the fag word,
Totally,
and
yeah.
they're pretty, and you still won't use it,
I don't like it personally.
but you'll use the C word.
Oh
huh?
yeah.
Wow.
So, why?
But yeah, I mean, the C word is a word used to keep women down for historically. I mean, that's a bizarre.
I don't feel like it is. I feel like when I say it, I take control over that
But
word.
what if I say it then?
You can say it to me. Well, that's my own personal
Well, I'm not
thing,
going to
Rocky.
say it to you. But
That's what I'm saying.
what
My
if
own
I
personal
say-
thing
But
is-
that's his question.
But that
Yeah.
but now you're coming down on me. You're saying it's your own personal thing, but my own personal thing is retard, and I'm getting in trouble.
Because there's a lot of people out there who
Don't have driver's license
It's
that are
offensive.
retarded.
There
So if
isn't
I
a
call
group
a
of
guy
people-
driving a car a
there isn't
retard,
group
he
of
shouldn't have a
people
driver's
where the
license.
C word is directly derogatory to them.
Yes, there is.
For
Women.
sure. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Talk about bringing
enough.
out the tears.
but what you're doing is you're insulting somebody's mental capability by purposeful choices that they're making and likening it to somebody who was born with the situation where they don't have the same capacity. Does that make sense?
So
I
let me
just-
ask this question
I
then.
just-
What about the N word? Yay or nay?
I don't like it.
Okay.
It's not my...
Would you be mad if he said it? If Rocky said it?
I wouldn't like it. That's the thing is there are certain words that I will call out. I don't like people using the R word, and I will call that out. And I don't like the N word either. And I don't like saying it, and I don't like people around me saying it. And it isn't my place to tell you to or to not say words. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, like, people say those words around me a lot, and I don't say anything. But it just seems to me like
I think if we went to a busy area and I yelled retard and you yelled the F word or you yelled the C word, you'd get a lot more.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is it's all arbitrary.
But
like
that-
you're
that
setting
doesn't
these
make it better,
arbitrary
though.
rules.
I just feel like
it does make it better. I mean, these are foul words all the way around. I mean,
it's sad though that we wouldn't care about the R word. Like why is the F word?
the R word's a medical term.
Not anymore. It's not. We've evolved past that.
I don't think that's true. First of all, and second of all,
Our language evolves. As
yeah,
our
but
knowledge
I don't think it
evolves.
has though. I think that retard is still retarded is a medical term.
Mentally
I'm not
disabled.
100%
You've
certain
gotta
on if
Google
it's
it
an
right there.
actual medical term.
Mentally
You gotta
disabled
Google
is the
it
current
right there.
accepted medical term.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
But I think
mentally
retarded,
handicapped.
I think retarded is a specific form of mental disability.
Mental retardation is it's on the list of intelligence. So mental retardation is based on a certain
Sure.
IQ level. It's based on a certain intelligence quotient. So if you're below, I think it's below 40, you're considered legally mentally retarded. It's similar to being legally blind. If you can see below a certain level, you're legally disabled. You're legally blind. And mental retardation is the same exact way.
I think that until you stop using words that offend people, like the C word you said you used to
Yeah.
offend Catherine,
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop using the word
And that makes
retard.
total sense. And I guess I should clarify too, like, I'm not just going to call anyone on the street the C
I
word. Or I'm
know.
not just going to use that word around, like,
Sure.
Catherine's a close friend of mine, and I can say that around her.
It's
and
more teasing when you say
But
it.
Exactly.
if a lady
Sure.
was being one on the street, you might consider it.
I wouldn't say it
But why not?
because it's just hateful
What's
language.
the difference between saying it to Catherine and saying it to somebody on the street, other than Catherine's your friend and you're hurting
Yeah,
your
because
friend?
Catherine and I have a rapport with each other where we can say certain things and understand each other's language without me being, without it being.
And it's potentially that
It's
your
just
relationship
about-
is such that she's not actually offended.
Yeah.
It's playful offense.
Yeah,
So
and I would
there is
never.
something to that.
Yeah. And I think the whole point too, my whole philosophy on it anyway, is be mindful of the things that you're saying and who you're saying them around. Like, I don't know, you don't know, what if somebody has a child who has mental disabilities and you say the R word around them and then they go home and think, oh yeah, society still has this viewpoint that my child is less than because of their mental disability.
They are less than. Their mental capacity is less than.
Their mental, but them as
Let-
a human
let
being
me
is
ask-
not less
Sure,
than.
100%.
Oh,
And I think that men calling women the C word is an indicator that men think that women are less than that.
So let me ask this question.
Because what does that word mean? Bleeding female genitalia, right?
Right?
Okay. So that is a man saying you're less than me because of what your genitalia does.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, it's kind of like I can own that word because,
So let me ask this question.
Yes.
Would you want to be mentally retarded?
would I want to?
Yeah. Or mentally handicapped?
Would I
you,
choose to?
Yeah. If you had the choice, would you choose Down syndrome?
If
Let's
I
say.
had the choice, I mean, okay, that's a really odd question, first of all.
I know. Just bear with me. It's would you choose that?
We are
As an
born
option.
the way we are born, and we have to accept it no matter how it comes at us,
I know.
right?
I know this.
If I could, I would choose to be any number of things.
I know you can't choose. It's a hypothetical.
Would I choose
Is
to
that
be...
do they live in an enviable state?
Well, it depends on what caliber of care they get.
Sure.
So an incredibly well taken care of Down syndrome you'd choose to be rather than a fully functioning adult?
Wouldn't be a bad... I mean, I don't want to say that wouldn't be a bad deal because obviously having full mental capacity is a good thing, right? It's a good thing to have. But when you use the R word, what you're saying is people who have mental disabilities are less than the rest of us, and it's okay to use it as an insult. That's the thing is, it's like, why don't we say the word Jesus Christ? Why don't we say, like...
I do say the word Jesus Christ.
In a derogatory term, though.
I do. That's not taking the Lord's name in vain. Carrying the Lord's name in vain is when you commit crimes in the name of God. And you're just making your argument. Take your argument and replace it with the C word.
Yeah.
It's used to keep women down, and yet you use it. And
enough,
I've used the R word in front of families who have retarded children, who I love, who are some of the greatest people on the planet.
And my whole thing is, we have evolved as humans. We've evolved our language. We know that certain words carry certain meanings and certain connotations when we use them. And I personally, people say that around me all the time, Rocky. And just for discussion's sake, that's why I like getting into this with you guys. Because most of the time I won't call somebody out on it unless I really feel like that was a hateful, horrible thing to say and don't say it, right?
Sure.
No, but I just think we as...
I'm not upset. I'm just listening.
I just think we as people need to evolve that. And if we know that... And it's like you said, yeah, fair enough. The C word is a it's a bad word to use. And I admit I will totally use that word. Not just in any day conversation. Like, it's something that I use to myself. Like, I did a whole monologue on it. I was in the vagina monologues, and that was the one that I had was about the C word. And I think that's where I became comfortable with it, because it was about reclaiming the C word and not letting us use it to bring us down, right? But words like the R word were given to, it was a classification of your mental capability, right? That was just our medical knowledge back then. And so we use it to say, okay, well, this person was born with this disability, or it happened because of an accident or whatever, right? This person has this mental disability, and so they do and say things that are beyond, quote unquote, normal functioning, right? So, but when we've taken that and we have a better language now to more deeply describe different types of mental disabilities and to classify them. So we've kind of taken this word and said it's archaic. We don't need to use it anymore. We have a much better language. But now we're using it to say, if you do something dumb, then you're saying that you have, you're giving them a lower value of life, right? Like, you're saying you're worth less because you made that dumb choice. And I liken you to people who were born with mental disabilities.
Well, yeah, that's exactly the point. That's the whole reason I use it, because that person is retarded. They have lower mental abilities. That's what I'm trying to say to that person.
They're making these choices on purpose. They're not... People who were born with these disabilities are not less than, right? And they're not making conscious choices to be
mentally, they are less than. Value-wise, they're not, but mentally they are.
Value-wise,
and I'm saying that I'm not saying they have less value. I'm not even saying that guy that cut me off on the road has less value. I'm just saying he's retarded.
His choice was bad. He made a poor choice.
And you're the one that said, so should I say, okay, you just cut me off. You're mentally disabled? Is that better? Would that make it better?
No, because that's the same thing. You're using that and
but
saying...
retard, you just said that retard doesn't mean retard anymore.
You're using it in a bad way.
So I can use retard if I want to, right?
You're using it in a bad connotation. You're using it as an insult. You're saying that being...
Sure.
It is insulting.
It is insulting.
So what if he was to call that person a mongoloid? Would that bother you?
She doesn't know that.
No, just answer. Would it bother you if he was to call them that?
I don't use that word, and so I know that it's not kosher.
It is insulting. It's what I'm saying is it is insulting. That's why I use it. And I'm not saying that person that cut me off has less value than me, and I'm not saying that the mentally disabled person has less value than me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that their brains don't function the way that they probably should, or the way that they could,
or the way that yours does,
or the way that yours does. I mean, there's a reason that we have these classifications. Should we not classify anything? Should we just...
You can classify things.
So should we just take a Down syndrome person and say, hey, you're fine, and throw them out in the... I mean, we have to have a classification, right?
You can have a classification, but you're using their classification as an insult.
But it would be bad for you because you would choose to be Down syndrome, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying I would choose to be Down syndrome.
Okay.
I don't have to be a Down syndrome person to wanna champion this.
We're not saying you have to be a Down syndrome
person. There's a lot of Down syndrome people that choose to use that word.
The reason I asked that
my
question,
uncle had brain cancer, and the way that he lightened the load on his mind was by joking about how he was becoming a retard.
And that's his own prerogative. The whole point, Rocky, is that people have spoken out about how it makes them feel bad. Like, it's like when...
The way that people have spoken out about the C word, making them feel bad, and the F word.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
You still use it, so I'm going to continue to use the word retard.
Okay, fair point. But you know that if you're out and you're saying that word, somebody's going to go home that night and say, wow, I really suck because, or my child sucks or something because somebody used that as an insult. And
first of all, I don't think it would ever offend a handicapped person because I don't think they even understand.
Well,
and if they do understand, they've been taught that by somebody, by their oversensitive parents probably. And I don't care if I offend oversensitive parents. That affects me in no way.
There's a large spectrum of people with mental disabilities and all sorts of different levels of functioning.
True.
So when you're using the R word, that is a blanket term. And that's why we've evolved past that. We have much better systems of how to classify different things.
Yeah, but okay. All right. Let's scratch it. I don't care if I offend.
Cool.
I don't care if I offend oversensitive parents of handicapped people. It doesn't bug me in the slightest.
And who's to say that they're being oversensitive?
In my mind, they're oversensitive. That's all that matters, right?
in theory, nobody should be able to offend anybody.
That's right. If you're offended, you're letting me offend you.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm the same way. I get offended about things that I shouldn't get offended about.
He gets offended about stupid stuff. He's such a sissy.
My neighbor just called the cops on my dog. It offended me. It hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
But I chose to let it go. Just let it go, bro. Just let it go. Doesn't matter.
My whole thing, I guess, Rocky, at the end of the day is if you've been given the information on how to be a kinder person, why wouldn't you want to be a kinder person?
The same reason you choose to use the C word in front of Catherine, I guess I don't.
Yeah, right?
That's not my... I choose to be kind in my actions. I don't... The word... If you're offended by words, that's kind of on you.
Fair enough. I personally
serve
just think,
people.
yeah, and it's not... I'm not saying, like, you're a bad person if you use that word, but the reason why I like to bring this up to people, and Darren used to say, like... oh, that situation is gay or something. Like, oh, this thing is gay. Then I'm like, come on, there's like other words we can use. And he used to say the R word too, and now he doesn't say it, at least around me anyway, because it's like, we've been given the information that people don't like that. And yeah, like you said, people don't like the C word, and I use the C word in certain groups, right? Like, I'm not going to say it out on the street. Catherine's my friend, and I do it to razz her. And not even all the time, but... yeah, that's a conscious choice I'm making. But what I'm saying is, like, in the general, when you're out in public, we've been given this information on how to make people feel more comfortable around us. And you don't have to follow that. I'm not saying you have to. But personally, if there's something that I could do to make people more comfortable around me, or to be kinder to the people around me, or to give off that, that people know that they can be comfortable around me, I'm not going to use those words. And I kind of like to point it out to people just to make them a little more aware, like, yeah, maybe I should use a different word instead, because we have a lot of words that we could be using. There's a lot of different things. That's why I love the thesaurus so much, because it's like, if there's a word for something, I want to look it up in the thesaurus and see what other words can I also be using, right? Like, there's a lot of other things you could say instead of the R word. And it's up to you what you do and don't want to say, and it's not up to me to tell you to not say it, but I do like speaking out and just saying, just so you know, obviously but...
And all I'm saying is retard represents a diminishment of mental capabilities. And so when I call someone a retard, that's what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. It's descriptive, it gets exactly what I want through, and it's satisfying.
And potentially it represents an undesirable mental state of being. They say things like, nobody would ever choose somebody else's trials. because nobody else's trials are that easy. And so from that perspective, it is certainly an undesirable trial to have, being mentally handicapped. However, they exist. People that are mentally handicapped exist. And they are highly valued. And if the doctrine of the church has taught us anything, not only are they highly valued, they were highly valiant in the pre-earth life, and our Father in heaven cannot bear to lose them. That's what I was always taught. I don't have any evidence for that. But and so from that perspective, when they do understand that Rocky was calling people the R word, when they do understand that, potentially in the next life, I think they're going to be able to look past it.
Yeah.
I think they're not going to be offended by it in any respect.
Yeah, the things that are here on earth that we have challenges or whatever, it's going to be much different in the next life. And yeah, things like that will, it won't mean as much because we have a much greater task at hand, right? But I just think if we've been given the information and we know, it's like the whole thing with pronouns too. If somebody says they want to be called male or female or whatever, it's not up to me to tell them yay or nay. It's like, okay, if I don't like that, then I'm not going to talk to you and I'll just stay away. Or if I want to engage you in conversation and you've given me the information, then I will use I'll use the language that makes you more comfortable.
Are we going to go down that one now too?
No.
I understand what you're saying, and I understand the desire to do that, but that's a never-ending battle.
Yeah.
It will never end. There is no possible way, if we continue to cave on things like this, to not offend people. And if we go around tiptoeing around every single person on earth worried about offending them, we're never going to get anywhere in our life. We're never going to go anywhere because everybody is offended by something unless they choose not to be. And I get that. If somebody is upfront and honest with you, they're like, hey, I would love it if you would use this pronoun with me. By all means, you try that. However,
if you respect that person and you love them and you want to keep engaging them in life.
Pronouns are not a sign of respect. They never have been. Me calling somebody he or she is simply a way of categorizing them into one of two categories. It is not a sign of my respect for them. If I respect them, I'll learn their name. If I respect them, I'll call them sir or ma'am.
And what if somebody changes their name? What if
I'll absolutely call them by the name they want to be called by. Your name is something unique to you that is a sign. Me learning your name is a sign of respect to you as a person. I know your name is Devyn because I care about you and I respect you.
Right.
And an attempt to learn somebody's name is a sign that, look, I'm trying to get to know you and I respect you and I want to have a way to call you what you want to be called. A pronoun is not that. A pronoun is a scientific classification.
Yeah, but if I said, Shadow really likes her sandwiches to have the crusts cut off.
Doesn't bother me.
For some people,
I've been calling him her for his whole life.
And, yeah.
And frag, for that matter.
That is not a nice word.
Neither's the C word, lady.
I'm not saying the C word to you.
And that's the thing. Look, that was a perfect example.
I've referred to it as the C word with you this whole time because I'm not going to just say it to anybody.
I get that.
What I was saying by saying I do use the C word is I understand using inflammatory language and it feels good and it's fun. But that's what it is. It's inflammatory. And if you know better, then you don't need to do that in public. You don't need to do that around people who might not like it.
I think we've created a weak generation. And if they are offended by words,
I think we've created a generation of people who feel comfortable to speak out about the things that they don't like. And whether you want to call that weakness...
You can feel comfortable about that if you want, but it doesn't offend me.
I know.
I'm not offended right now that you think I'm a bad person for saying retard.
I don't think you're a bad person, Rocky.
Wait,
you get pretty upset.
You
think there's something fundamentally wrong with me that I would hurt people's feelings. You think I'm
there's
unkind.
Something fundamentally wrong with saying
you
the R
think
word.
I'm unkind because I use these words.
Hold
Insensitive.
on. We need to pull this back.
What's the
real
difference
quick.
between insensitive and unkind? I wonder if you looked in your thesaurus if insensitive and unkind would be the same word. Okay. So you think I'm not a kind person because I use certain words?
That I don't think as an all-around person you're an unkind person. I don't think that. I just think when you use certain language, I feel like in that situation it's like a lot of people in my family use the R word.
This is what.
And I feel like people like to use it because they know it pisses people off. Because they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this person's goat."
Wait, I want to ask this question.
I think that they use it because they know it describes a person's mental state perfectly.
No, because we have a lot better language that we could
Like
be
what?
using. A lot. Spazoid. Like,
You know that doesn't have the
Dillhole.
same effect.
Yeah,
You know
for
it
sure.
doesn't feel the same to
Dillhole
say
maybe,
that.
but
It
that
doesn't
doesn't.
feel
That
the
doesn't.
same.
Dillhole is a great
Dillhole
word.
doesn't
Wait,
describe.
Dillhole is a great
But
word.
Dillhole
That
doesn't
need to be
describe.
said.
Thank you.
Dillhole doesn't describe
but
mental
you just
capacity
said
though
that
either.
word makes you feel a way, right? Like it feels good to say that word. Well,
Sure.
it feels bad for someone to hear that word.
To hear that they're a retard, yeah. To be compared to a retard, for sure.
That's the intention.
Exactly right.
That's the
Yeah,
intention.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the intention, to make people feel bad. Not the retards, the other people. The
No, that's
retards
like
don't understand
when
it.
you're using it as an insult.
Wait,
Yeah.
so in that same respect, you said, Shadow, I'm going to make her a sandwich when talking about somebody else. Wouldn't that be offensive to women before it'd be offensive to me?
What do you mean?
Because
Saying that you're a woman?
You're saying that I'm a woman and am somehow less because I'm a woman.
Well, that would
So
be
isn't
if
that
I
the same
thought-
logic?
If I thought that you were something that should be bad and should be looked down upon, and I said that, then maybe yeah. But I don't think you're somebody who I would look down upon, and I wouldn't.
I'm simply asking for argument's sake because
Yeah.
again,
No,
it's
I
a
don't think it should offend you.
never-ending battle. There's so many. If your fear in life is offending people, you will never get anywhere.
My fear in life is not offending people, but my concern in life is making people feel comfortable and making them feel loved.
And that's your prerogative.
Exactly.
But not Catherine.
Oh.
I'm just saying, you use
Catherine and I
inflammatory
share a
words.
very deep bond, and yeah, like, you know what it's like to.
But so me and Shadow use a very deep bond. So when I call him fag or her, what's
I can't tell you what language to use. I mean, at any point in time. But when you guys are home alone and doing your own thing, you're doing your own thing. Nobody can tell you what to do. All I'm saying is,
We are home alone doing our own thing
yeah.
on the internet.
Just have it in your mind that maybe somebody doesn't want to hear that. And that's why I haven't been using the actual C word this whole time. Yeah, I like that word. Yeah, I'll use it. But not everybody who listens to your podcast is going to want to hear that, so I don't say it.
Well, we'd have to bleep it because we don't want to
Exactly.
be restricted.
You would bleep the C word, but you won't bleep
Yeah,
the R word.
because according to
YouTube would restrict
YouTube,
us.
they'd restrict our video. But I can use retard and fag and not be restricted.
Rocky, I love you.
I think fag is going that way,
I don't
actually.
know. It's hard to love
We might get
an
restricted,
unkind
actually.
No,
cretin
you guys,
like me,
seriously,
huh?
you guys are like brothers to me, and it's okay to have these disagreements. I just like people to be mindful.
And what I'm saying is, I am mindful.
Mm-hmm.
I am mindful of eroding footholds in political correctness. So I will use words that people find offensive because I think that political correctness is what's tearing this country apart currently.
It's an attack on the freedom of speech, on our First Amendment rights,
Right.
which is the same amendment that protects our freedom of religion.
Instead
Yeah.
of using law to do it, they use the herd mindset.
So let's say this.
You're not allowed in this group of people because you use these words.
Right, yeah. Which I don't agree with. But let's say this. If I told you I really don't like that word,
Mm-hmm.
would you keep using it around me?
No, probably not.
Because
But I have
You've
been
been-
today, so I guess.
yeah,
I
because
would.
you've been given the information.
Yeah,
If
sure.
I'm in it, if I know my audience and I've been
But that's
given that information, I will
only-
be. It's just to be mindful.
That's only because of I care about you.
Yeah.
A stranger who flipped her crap about it, I would continue to
What would
use it.
Christ do?
Oh, yeah. I'm so far not
But that.
Well-
even close to what Christ would do.
Christ would start throwing over tables and kick the money changers out of the temple.
Throw and flip as many tables as you want.
I think what would Jesus do is a very important question, but also
We'll
this
never
is
reach that.
no. It is perfection is an ideal we should absolutely strive for.
Yeah.
Do not mistake what I'm saying as we shouldn't strive to be perfect. It's just that doing the right thing is not always the thing that doesn't offend somebody, because offense is a tool used to help people repent.
Christ spent a lot of time offending rabbis
And
That's
to
true.
the point that
teachers.
But that was for a greater purpose. Do you feel like using certain words
So
serves a greater
if
purpose?
political correctness is an attack on free speech and I'm eroding footholds in political correctness, then Perhaps that is what Christ would do.
And there's you might say, well, you're only affecting the people around you. There's no way that Rocky on his own can change the political correctness.
Right.
Oh, I can too.
Just the same as my thoughts aren't, I don't necessarily need to change your mind, but
However,
it's a discussion, right?
yeah. However,
Would it be cool if you could? Yeah, but.
Is it the right thing to do to attack political correctness in any way that he can? Absolutely. He sees it as the right thing to do. It is the correct method of action to attack political correctness, and this is the way that he's chosen to attack political correctness. Is it the most perfect way? I don't know.
Let's discuss your husband.
Yeah. Darren, my sweet, sweet angel.
I do love Darren.
I want to be
best.
friends with him.
He's the best.
I hope he listens to this.
And
Come
I said,
hang out and work on his truck with him. He'll be your best friend.
I said in the last podcast that every time you come on, I like Darren more and more. Then I found out he used the R word, and it happened again. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Not only, but then he respected my opinion on it, and now he doesn't use it, and that makes me love him more.
And now he doesn't use it around you.
As far as I know, Darren's not somebody.
So-
He doesn't even like using the F word or anything. He doesn't cuss.
So you're
But
And
You-
that is
you-
an interesting take as well. He doesn't cuss because...
Let's look at it. This is not an attack.
respectful language.
This is not
He
an
was raised
attack.
that way.
Yeah.
This is not an attack on your marriage.
Yeah.
This is not an attack on you as a person.
Thank you.
But I
yes.
want to look at this a different way. Darren had to change himself in order for you to love him more.
No. I don't.
That's what you said.
I
I
didn't-
love him more because he stopped certain behaviors. Stopped.
Yeah, because
using
that was a
certain
kind
words.
thing for him to do for me. It made me. It showed his care for me, right?
Sure. Okay. Just want you to be aware of what happened there.
Yeah.
He served you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I serve him in other ways, right?
Good. Okay.
It's not about changing
As
yourself.
long as you
it's
know
about
that goes two ways.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And a lot, especially politically, because I have definitely in my life been way more liberal, and Darren is way more conservative. Well, he's more libertarian than anything. But I've stopped and I've actually heard him out and I've listened to him, and I've changed a lot of my viewpoints because of that. Does that mean I had to change my ways to be in his favor? No, not necessarily. He didn't have to change his ways to be in my favor either, but the fact that he showed, that was him showing me he cared, right?
Mm-hmm.
And me showing him that I care is listening to his points. Are we going way over on time?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Time limit.
I don't think you need to change yourself.
Well, since
for
we're
everyone,
arguing,
but,
since
yeah.
this dissolved into argument, let's talk
Oh my
Kyle.
gosh.
Let's talk Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh, we're swinging back to emergency preparedness, baby.
I don't know Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yes, you do. You posted about him.
We call him the Kenosha shooter.
The Kenosha.
The creator of the Kenosha hat trick.
The Kenosha hat trick. He shot the
Oh, did I-
protesters in Kenosha.
Oh, did I post a funny meme about him?
About how Ted Bundy used to serve people too.
Okay, yeah. Well, to explain that, I thought it was funny.
Mhm.
And
It was funny. I'm
I
with you.
didn't honestly know the situation,
Oh,
and I probably
okay.
would have posted it anyway, just because that's a funny comparison to make.
Sure. All right.
But
So are you saying that Kyle Rittenhouse
No,
is
I thought-
less because you compared him to a serial killer?
Well, even worse, dude. How did the serial killers feel about her using that word?
sure, at the time, you know what I mean. Like, I've looked into the story since then, and more has come to light for sure. But I definitely do follow a lot more liberal people, and when I see something funny like that, then I'm like,
I just thought maybe you had an opinion on it. We could argue about it. Sounds like you don't, though.
I
so.
don't. I feel like unfortunately, it was like a wrong place at the wrong time, and everybody was. This is a whole other thing. I am so sick of people judging the actions of others in a situation where it's heated like that. Those protesters, I'm sure a lot of those guys thought, we just heard a gunshot, there's an active shooter, take him down at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody had time to stop and think about what was happening, it
Sure.
might have gone differently. Might have
Yeah.
gone differently, right?
Well-
You don't know what was on those people's minds when they were like, imagine if some guy came up guns a-blazing, not that I'm saying that Kyle Rittenhouse was guns a-blazing, but if you heard a gunshot, you'd say, either get the hell away from that guy, or we have got to stop him so nobody gets
Well,
hurt.
and it's an interesting take because the evidence I've seen, somebody in the crowd shot first.
Yeah, that's what.
And they, from what I understand, they weren't even shooting at him, but that's what had him on edge. Is somebody and then some guy comes at him and he shoots him.
Same thing, yeah.
It's a two-way street. There's a gunshot going. Everybody is on alert. It's the Lexington and Concord mentality where they're standing there facing each other at the start of this great battle, and they call it the shot heard around the world because they have no idea who fired it.
Yeah.
They have no idea who fired it, and suddenly the Revolutionary War begins in earnest because, it's that mentality of, you're on edge, you don't know what's going on, and then suddenly there's gunshots flying, and you're like, okay, here we go. I'm in it now. So I get what you're saying.
I guess I don't understand what you're getting at, though. Why?
I've learned too much lately about I can't trust anything
I know,
that
but
any news source says.
What have you heard about these protesters that you think they've been treated unfairly?
I'm not saying they've been treated unfairly. I'm just saying you don't know. Maybe they were maliciously attacking him. Maybe Kyle Rittenhouse, I feel like was well within his rights to defend himself because people were coming at him. But I'm just saying, might have been coming at him because this guy's got a gun and we don't want him to kill anyone. Wouldn't you want to jump on somebody who was being an active shooter or what you perceived to be an active shooter? That's all I'm saying is we don't know what was on their minds, and I'm sick of just taking the media at its word and just listening to what people have to say.
I guess I don't understand why is that relevant to the case.
What she's saying is it shouldn't, we should not even be having this conversation.
Yeah.
None of us were there. None of us experienced.
We don't get to judge their actions. Yeah.
What?
The Kyle Rittenhouse situation, it should have just been a blip on the radar.
It's really
that's what she's
and
saying.
People die. I'm not saying it should have been a blip. I'm just saying, who are we to sit here in our comfy little chairs in our cozy little basement, our subterranean dwelling?
Continue.
Well, your butt's not as cushy as mine. But I just think, who are we to sit here and judge them and say who's a bad guy and who's a good guy? I think Kyle Rittenhouse was well within his rights to defend himself. I know I guess he wasn't supposed to be there or something, but I can't say that I wouldn't have done the same thing. And I can't say that I wouldn't have been one of the protesters jumping on him to stop what I perceive to be an active shooter.
To that end, we potentially do need to put a good and bad guy label on it, though.
And who's the good guy and who's the bad guy?
The bad guys are the ones burning down Kenosha.
Yeah, definitely.
And the
ones that attack Kyle Rittenhouse for putting out one of the fires.
And the good guy is the guy who is defending Kenosha.
Okay. And that, I see that, but
What if one of the protesters had yelled the R word before? I think they deserve to die.
Well, they can get away with murder, literally, so it probably wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, and that's kind of the...
I'm honestly just sick of passing judgment, sitting from my comfy, cushy place here, and I live a really nice life, and I don't have to deal with a lot of these issues, and I'm not in the middle of these protests, and I'm not having to defend my own home, and I'm not feeling like I need to protest about something because of some sort of injustice. So I don't get to sit here and judge people's actions. I can decide who I want to subscribe myself to and whose ideals I want to stand with, but I don't get to sit here and say this person's evil and this person's not, and this person's evil and this person's not, because you don't know what you would do in those situations.
That, Devyn, is why you have wisdom beyond your years. Your gratitude for your situation.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
I do have a freaking awesome situation.
That's awesome. So do I.
Me too.
But, yeah, I think...
Because I'm not an R word.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you, Rocky, for using
I'm
it correct.
sorry.
No, and these... And
it makes it even worse when you call yourself an R word.
No.
I'm so glad I'm not an R word.
Oh, my gosh. I try not to think less of people, and I don't, especially people that I have a good relationship with, like you guys. Like, I won't think less of you for doing certain things unless you did like an actual action that I perceived as causing harm to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, I try not to judge what people are doing. Yeah, I do make fun of things, and I share a lot of memes that probably maybe I don't understand the whole thing of it, but I saw it and I laughed and I was like.
That's the intention. I'm glad funny. That's why you shared it, because
I can go with funny for sure. I just thought maybe you had an opinion that we could discuss this on.
And I did see it posted other places by people who were like, Like, man, he's a criminal. Him and Ted Bundy are the same. They kill people, exactly the same number of people.
My favorite memes are the ones where they paint him as like this terrorist, you know?
Yeah.
But he's got like, it's this like obviously 16-year-old kid standing there with these American flag socks on and American flag Crocs on. It's hilarious. I'm like, yeah, he looks like a terrorist for
Crocs
sure.
and socks.
That's so dope.
Oh, yeah, Crocs and socks, baby. That explains why he trips in the video, too. You ever tried running in Crocs, bro?
He wore the wrong
I
shoes.
think he trips when he gets punched in the head.
Oh, that too.
No, he trips later.
Maybe.
Like he just falls on his head.
Maybe. All right.
There's actually that, real quick, there's a show that my parents actually was just having me watch. It was like something about the attack on free speech. It's a Prager
Oh, yeah.
it's a,
Prager and Adam Carolla did it.
yeah. It's actually really
It's
interesting.
No Safe Spaces.
Yeah, No Safe Spaces. That was actually a really interesting watch.
What was that on?
Two of my favorite bands.
Amazon Prime, but I
Oh,
think you
good.
have to pay for it. I think you have to rent it. But yeah, I need to finish it, but it was worth the watch, I think. But yeah, anyway, I love you guys, and
We love you too.
I don't think less of you because
The good news is you don't listen to the podcast unless you're on it, so I can continue
I
to
do.
use the
I
R
listened
word.
to you talking about Breonna Taylor on that last episode that you talked about her, and I actually liked what you had to say about the war on drugs, and because that's a total freaking
Well,
Does it make tons of sense?
yeah. Oh yeah, because it helped so much too.
yeah, more people need to watch that episode. Only 17 people watched it. So
I listened to it.
watch the Breonna
No.
Taylor
I was
episode.
a little
We're
scared
right.
of what you were about to
34.
say when you started talking about Breonna Taylor. I was like, oh, Rocky, where are you going with this? And then
You thought I was
like,
going to be all racist and stuff?
kind of, yeah. You
Yeah.
come off as a racist, so.
That's all right. I get that a lot. When typically I'm the least racist person in the room.
No, I just didn't know where you were gonna go with
Yeah,
it, and I
he's
was
real
like,
equal-minded.
It's true.
Full of equalities.
It's true. I think we should
I
give,
listened to you guys.
I think we should give mentally disabled people driver's license. That's how equally minded I am.
It would be exciting.
For sure.
I think we should just eliminate the driver's license division altogether.
Bango, bango. That's what I'm
And
saying.
if your parents are like, hey, you're not too retarded or too R-worded to drive.
Shadow!
Shadow.
Hey, I saved it for you.
We're going to end it
All
on
right.
a low note. Sorry,
No,
folks.
it's
All right,
okay, no.
folks. Y'all have a great week, and God bless.
Thanks for coming, Devyn.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for coming, Devin.